It's been quiet in Ann Arbor. A little too quiet, if you ask me, especially for a place that just saw its first national title arrive since 1997. Like, go back and look at Athens in 2021 after Georgia claimed its first national title in over 4 decades. That place was a party for weeks on end, and conversations were all about Georgia being the next big dynasty in college football that would overcome Nick Saban and the Alabama Crimson Tide. And in large part, I think that was because we knew Kirby wasn't going anywhere. That's not the feeling right now at Michigan. Jim Harbaugh's taking NFL interviews. He has a contract to return for 2024. But what are the parameters that could eventually lead him going back to the NFL or maybe coming back to Ann Arbor for next season and well beyond? I think that's a good conversation to talk about today. But if you are new here, well, welcome on into the channel, people. My name is Cole Thompson. I'm a radio show host based in Houston, and I talk college football daily. Look, the clock might have struck zero on 2023, but I'm not going to stop making content anytime soon. We got live shows coming up. We got a banner. We're recapping 2023, a look ahead at 2024. There is a mass exodus of players going into the transfer portal. That will be content for days. So if this is the fix you need to survive the dreaded offseason of college football, might I suggest you hit the subscribe button down below. Go ahead and tell me your thoughts on what Jim Harbaugh does with his future in college football. Tell your friends, your family, your mortal enemies, your best of bros, Big Ten faithful, Michigan fans, and college football aficionados everywhere about this channel, because we are on the race to become the #1 YouTube show talking college football daily. Go ahead and follow me on social media at Mr. Cole Thompson. That way, conversations surrounding our favorite sport never have to stop flowing. So Harbaugh watches alive and well, and it's not going to end until he comes up with a decision. Will he go to the NFL or will he come back for next season? He's already had several interviews. He's met with the Los Angeles Chargers, and surprise, surprise, he actually took a visit down to the varsity where he had a Zoom interview with the Atlanta Falcons, who are also targeting Bill Belichick. So they seem to be going with an old school brand. But they still could go ahead and call him with the Raiders. They still could go ahead and call him with the Commanders. They could call him with a bunch of teams that they see fit. And so the conversation turns to, well, why is Harbaugh taking these interviews? Because it's one thing to take an interview. You know, the Los Angeles Chargers, you played in San Diego for your career. You have experience understanding what that team mantra is all about. It would make sense. But now you're taking multiple interviews. To me, this is the inclination of, I have a desire to get back to the NFL. I love college football. I think I'm good at my job in college football. I know I've done a lot for the game, but I really want to return to the pros. I want my shot to be like Pete Carroll, win a national title, win a Super Bowl, be one of those elite of elite coaches that can say they've done both at a high end level. And make no mistake, there's proof of concept at both that he can be successful. Just won the national title in Ann Arbor, took his team to the Super Bowl in 2013 with San Francisco, took his team to multiple NFC championship games. There's a proof that the game has not passed him by, and that if he establishes his own brand, he can row throughout the NFL. But now you wonder, is this going to be the move that sends him back to the NFL? Will these interviews eventually lead to him going there? I don't think if they would have lost the national championship, this would be such a big deal, because we would, I think, have an answer at this point. You want to come back, you want to be able to secure your legacy, and you want to take Michigan to the promised land. Well, all those goals have been accomplished. You've won multiple Big Ten titles. You've been to the college football playoff on 3 different occasions. And now you've brought the first championship back in over 2 decades to your alma mater. Not only will you go down as a historic quarterback, but you also will go down as one of the best coaches to call plays on the sidelines in the place known as the Big House. You're big time in Ann Arbor. You're big time in the Big House, wherever you may come back. Your legacy is secure. So it feels like right now, with the more interviews being set up and the opportunities for him to be able to return to the NFL, that's where his heart is. That's where his mind is. That's where he desires to be. And maybe this all comes down to fit. If one team doesn't give him full control of roster construction and free agency and making sure that he's able to finalize the 53-man roster, he may say, this isn't the best fit for me. I can always come back here next season when there are other opportunities for me to become available, when there are opportunities for jobs that could allow me to have final say. Or maybe he's okay with not having final say and he just wants to get back to the pros. That could happen. But Michigan also has a contract waiting for him. And there were some addendums that were added in based off of what Dan Wetzel of Yahoo Sports reported that could end up playing dividends when it comes to making this decision. For starters, one thing that was really important about the contract was it wouldn't set up until after the NFL hiring cycle. I think it was like February 15th or February 16th. So that day, basically, the NFL has passed him by. He has to return for next season. The other part that's really important is that if he does sign that deal, they could put in an egregious buyout from an NFL team. So, just like it is in college football, when your coach leaves and they're under contract, they have to pay a price and you have to pay to be able to go get them. And you're doing that to protect your university and be able to boost your funds in the process because you're somewhat hitting the reset button when it comes to this persona of your team. And so they're doing that. They're playing smart when it comes to that. The other thing that's really important in there is that there is a clause that says, I want full immunity from being fired from this job if I return, if the NCAA finds out anything about it. Here's what that's like. When you win a national title, and when you are able to be one of the few active coaches that can claim that you've won a national title, and you've also been at your alma mater, and you brought the program back to its peak of existence, you can ask for whatever the hell you want. You should be allowed to because you made history. You did it on your own. If you already also know that you're probably set on the NFL, go ahead and throw whatever the hell you want there. It's like having tenure out of college. Like you can get away with whatever. They can't fire you. They can't get rid of you. So the same thing goes for contract negotiations. If you want Michigan to go ahead and say, we will protect you no matter what the NCAA throws down at us, bowl ban, we lose the wins, we lose the record, all of that, fine, so be it. I'm cool. You're paying me to stick around. Like, that's him basically saying, throw me the kitchen sink and maybe I'll at least listen to the offer. And it's also really important that they're doing that way and Harbaugh's doing it that way because of what he is saying is, if I come back, I want full support from this university. I have given you everything that you have asked for. I have made the necessary changes. I completely revamped my entire roster after what happened in 2020. No one wants to talk about the COVID-19 season. That is a dark, dark, gloomy pathway of where there's no coming back if you are a Michigan fan. Even if you're on cloud nine right now, remembering what happened in 2020, that is about as dark as a place you can go to. He made those changes. And he brought us to 3 conference titles. And he brought us 3 college football playoff appearances. And I won you the damn thing. I want to know that you've got my back. I've got your back. You got my back. And if we don't have each other's backs, then what the hell am I doing here? Because Michigan, we don't know what the NCAA is going to find. We can all agree with this. Whether or not Harbaugh knew about everything going on with the Connor Stallion situation, I think that he did. They're going to get punished. In some way, shape, or form, they're going to deal with the ramifications of what occurred this past season. It's going to happen. So the question turns to, is he willing to stick around for that? Money talks. Money's always going to talk. Money will talk volumes in every single way, shape, and form. I live in Houston right now. If I get a phone call saying, hey, we'll pay you X amount of dollars to move to Nashville, Tennessee, I may be willing to take less because Nashville's my dream city, but that's neither here nor there. It's a proof of concept that I have to look at what's the best thing for me. But also, the best thing for me is to be able to do my job at an elite level. Will you be able to do your job at an elite level depending on what's thrown down at Michigan's feet? Will you be able to fight through the sanctions of the NCAA? Will you be able to come back from what they potentially could throw at you? And if that's the case, does the university have your back? Does the university look out for you? Because the last thing you want to do is sign this lucrative contract, miss out on going to the NFL, have your opportunity to finally win on Sundays, and then you're fired because the NCAA came out with sanctions against you and Ward Manuel has to go on a different path. That's the last thing that Jim Harbaugh wants to do. So this to me comes down to a multitude of things, but the main one, what's the feeling around the NCAA? Will he be able to avoid any major conflict with his contract, with his ability to be able to coach, with anything that goes on behind closed doors? How many scholarships will he lose? Will there be a bowl ban added in? And will he be allowed to coach the team even with all those ramifications? If he gets told he's on a 1-year suspension, but you'll get paid at Michigan, I ultimately think he's going to the NFL. I already ultimately think he's going to the NFL. Legacy secure. You won a national title. They're going to build a statue of you outside of Michigan Stadium, and you're going to go down as one of the greatest Michigan men ever. Your dad says all the time, who has it better than us? Right now, nobody. Nobody outside of those fans in Michigan have it better than you because you found a way to fight through adversity. And yes, the team still fought through adversity to get to the end goal and see the confetti fall on them in Houston. Nobody has it better than Michigan right now. And that's kind of a blessing in disguise when you look at what's happening with Harbaugh, because nobody has it better than you, including you, because you could get back the coach that just took you to a national title, thus creating a dynasty of some works for the long form future. Absolutely can happen. Ultimately, I feel like if you're meeting with multiple teams, if you're willing to take on a second interview, if you're willing to go ahead and fight for all of these ramifications in your contract, you're kind of just throwing out little darts just to say, hey, cross out this box, cross out this box, cross this box. Doesn't matter. My mind's already made up. You're just waiting for the right fit. Fit could control it. Maybe there isn't a team out there that's willing to give Harbaugh everything he wants, but so does contract negotiations. And ultimately, this will be a subject of conversation that never seems to stop flowing until we get an answer out of Ann Arbor. And by the way, we already know where they're going with the head coach. I'll do another video on that later on, but if you think that they have to go for a long-term coaching search, I think that you've barked up the wrong tree. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching that video. Don't hit the X button yet. Make sure you hit subscribe to keep up with all of our daily content found on Just Saying It and anything else that we post on this channel. Bye.